Yo, what's up with it, y'all? It's JD, and I'm back with another quick video. In today's video, I'm going to be answering one of my subscribers' questions. One of my subscribers, a young man around 20, 21 years old, he hit me up in my Instagram DMs. He had a question about relationships and kind of a situation that he's going through with his girlfriend. So basically what the question was pertaining to is the relationship has kind of hit this stagnant point, and the relationship has kind of went into somewhat of a negative cycle in terms of a lot of arguing, bickering back and forth. His girlfriend essentially telling him that she doesn't want him to hang around with certain friends that are of the opposite sex. Maybe different things that are going on in and out of their circle. You know, it was just pretty much young love type stuff. So, but before we get into the video, if you guys are interested in fitness, health, travel, overall growth content, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you can get updated every time I drop new content. But let's get back into the video. So essentially what the young man was telling me was that his girlfriend was trying to put a leash on him. And for somebody, a young man at 20, 21 years old, that's the last thing that you need in your life is restrictions coming from another person, especially coming from your girlfriend, when it comes down to the things that you want to do. At 20, 21 years old, this is a time of your life to be exploring, trying new things, traveling, going different places, meeting new people, you know, kind of experimenting, seeing exactly what you like out of life, what you want to do with your life. You know, a lot of times at 21 years old, we have no idea of what we want to do with our life and what our life's mission and what our life's purpose is. We want to have the least amount of restrictions on our ability to move, be mobile, you know, mingle and meet with people as possible. Now, I'm not saying that you can't be in a relationship while you're kind of in this exploration process, because, you know, I think this is, like I said, this is kind of a coming of age thing, because I can remember back to when I was around that age, 20, 21 years old, and I actually remember I had a girlfriend that I was with for about 4 years at that time as well. And for me, you know, a lot of times that relationship kind of made me feel a little restricted in terms of different things as well, because, you know, just to be honest, at 20, 21 years old, it's probably best that if you're a young man that you don't even have a girlfriend, because at the end of the day, you're kind of want to experiment with women and kind of see what type of women that you like, what type of personalities that you like in a woman, what things that you might like physically from a woman. And, you know, it's kind of just one of those exploration points. And for me, around that age was actually around the age where I actually broke up with my long-term girlfriend and kind of got into the mindset of that, you know, I want to travel, I want to move around, you know, I want to, you know, see what else is out there in this world, because I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do at the age of 21. So number one, that's probably my biggest point, is that, you know, you don't need to have any restrictions. You shouldn't have a leash on you at the age of 21 years old. Probably the best perspective to have on a situation like this is that when you're 20, 21 years old, the girl who you're in a relationship with is 99% of the time not going to be the girl that you actually get married to. So you have to think about it from that perspective. And for me personally, you know, the girl who I was with at 21 years old, she was a good girl. You know, we were together for like 4 years. But at the end of the day, now that I'm 36 years old, there's years that go by between times that I even think about this girl. You know what I mean? That's no disrespect to her. It's just that I'm 15 years removed from that situation. So for me to think back on a relationship that I had 15 years ago, you know, maybe if something reminds me of it, maybe if I bump into somebody who knew her or something like that, maybe I might think about it. And actually, I just thought about it because of this young man's story, so it kind of made me think back to it. But at the end of the day, like, man, if my advice for any young man in that situation is just to break the relationship off. If it's gotten to the point where it's negative, toxic, in any way, shape, or form, if she's telling you can't do this and you can't do that, you know, for the most part, that's another thing I actually mentioned to this young man as well, is that, you know, women are a complement to our life. They're not the center of our universe. So we can never at any time put a woman at the center of our universe. You know what I mean? It's funny, me and my cousin was just chopping it up about this like 2 days ago, and we were just talking about like some meme that he had sent me on not even on Instagram, he just sent it to my phone, but it was like Jaheim, which is an R&B artist from when I was coming up, probably when I was around that age, like 20, 21 years old. He had a song called Put That Woman First. And now this dude is a dope fiend. You know what I mean? He done went to prison. He's a dope fiend. You know what I mean? And my cousin was like, this is what happens when you put that woman first. Like, Jaheim's 41 years old now. Dope fiend out. You know what I mean? In and out of prison. You know, just living a fucked up life. And, you know, honestly, the cause of that could stem from the fact that, you know, he might have had that in-love spirit when it came down to his relationships and putting a woman first and, you know, putting a woman on a pedestal, what a lot of dudes like to call a simp nowadays. So that's something that you really want to stay away from, because the number one focus on your life should be, you know, your spirituality. In my perspective, your spirituality, and also what your life's mission is. And a lot of times these things kind of tie hand in hand, because your life's mission and your purpose in life is kind of like one of these things that, you know, you feel like you were just put on this planet to do. It's something that you are meant to do. So, you know, once you find that thing that you're super passionate about, you feel like, you know, it was something that, you know, the creator put you on this planet to do. So it's kind of like a spiritual thing. It's almost like something that you really can't explain. So for me, those two things should be at the forefront of your priorities in life as a young man and just as a grown man in general. For me, those things should be at the forefront of your life as well. And, you know, and into the future, because you want to do something with your life that's bigger than yourself. You don't want to do, your whole life can't revolve on just you, and it damn sure just can't revolve around some woman. You know what I mean? But anyways, guys, when it comes down to that whole aspect of having a leash on, and if you're even 36 years old like myself, if you're 40 years old, 45 years old, 25 years old, it really doesn't matter. You should not be in a relationship with a woman who has a leash on you, because all that's going to do is going to have you all pent up, and then next thing you know, you're going to need to release that energy somehow. And a lot of times what ends up happening is that when we get pent up, when a woman tries to put a leash on us, or, you know, when she tries to give us restrictions and we get pent up, we express that in a negative way. So what we end up doing is maybe sneaking off cheating on a woman, or maybe we end up sneaking off doing things, you know, behind that woman's back. One thing I'm a firm believer of is that we don't own any other human being. You know what I mean? That's not our property. If you're in a relationship, even if it's your wife or whatever it may be, that is not your property. You know what I mean? She should be with you because she wants to be with you. As a matter of fact, she is with you because she's choosing to be with you, not because, you know, you're forcing somebody to do something, or, you know, you're telling this person, you can't do this, you can't do that. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, I do think that boundaries are important when you're in a relationship as well. So, you know, actually, when it actually comes down to what this young man is dealing with, he said that he had friends that were of the opposite sex. Now, personally, I don't necessarily believe in platonic friends of the opposite sex in general. You know, that might be something that he might have to learn, you know, as he comes of age and as he gets a little bit older, because, you know, those lines always get blurred. And a lot of times, you know, a dude who's pretending like he's trying to be, or a dude who's friends with some woman, he wants something a little bit more than just a friendship. That's what they call a dude who's trying to go through the back door. You know what I mean? A lot of times women do the same thing. I've had this situation come up, man, countless of times in my life. And for me, I've never actually had a woman who was like my platonic friend, just because they always wanted more. And it's funny because I've tried it many of times, and it always ends up the same thing. Always comes out at the end like the chick was feeling me, you know what I mean? When I'm actually trying to be a platonic friend. So I personally don't necessarily think that that's really a thing, platonic friendships. So for me, if I'm with a woman and she has too many quote-unquote male friends, that's a big red flag for me. So I do think that, like, boundaries and, you know, like rules and regulations that you kind of have in terms of like your philosophy on life is something that you should put at the forefront as well. But at the end of the day, it's like, if you don't want to, if I'm in a relationship with a woman and I say I don't believe in a woman having quote unquote platonic male friends, and she chooses to have platonic male friends, then that just means that she doesn't want to be with me. You know what I mean? So it's her decision whether she wants to be with me or not. So it's not necessarily me putting a leash on the woman or me telling the woman that she can and can't do anything. If you want to have platonic male friends, that's fine. It's just we can't be in a relationship like that. I can't take you serious like that. We can still fuck around, you know what I mean? Maybe we can be friends with benefits, but we can't be in a relationship. I'm not trying to have no woman who's getting masculine energy, that male masculine energy from another man. That's just not, that's a no-no in my book. But yeah, I think that was a good question that the young man reached out and asked, because I think it's something that a lot of us have went through. A lot of us guys who are kind of in our 30s or older, and it's something that a lot of you young guys who probably haven't even started dating are going to go through as well. So it's something to kind of keep in mind and keep in perspective. I know a lot of times when you're young and you got all that you got all that energy, and you kind of don't necessarily have the emotional intelligence, and you don't necessarily have control of your emotions like that, because you're in, quote unquote, in that love, in love, or whatever you might want to call it. It's something to kind of think about. And when things start getting too toxic, and when you have to ask yourself, is the juice worth the squeeze? So is this relationship worth all the negativity that it's bringing in my life? So that's definitely something that you want to be aware of. A lot of these relationships that we get into, at the age of 20, 21 years old, they're not going to be permanent. In all reality, most relationships in life are not permanent in any way, shape, or form. Like, it's very rare that people stay together for, 5, 10, 20, 25 years. And another thing to understand is that when you see some people who have been together for 15, 20, 25 years, you have to understand that both of these people have probably put up with a lot of bullshit from the other party. And, it's something that takes a lot of work. So if you're not willing to put up with some BS from a woman, or if you're a woman and you're not willing to put up with some BS from a man, then, you really have to be realistic about what your expectations are. There is no such thing as a fairy tale relationship. There's always something going on behind the scenes, even if a relationship looks perfect. I just highly recommend to any young man out there to go explore, go travel, especially internationally. Right now I'm out in Buenos Aires, Argentina. It's a beautiful place. Honestly, this is probably one of the most livable places I've been in, all my experiences of traveling. It's a beautiful city. It's clean. It's safe. The food is really good. The people are friendly. It's a lot of parks. I can do my calisthenics anywhere. So, these are things that you have to think about, is that this is a humongous world. So to be locked down and chained down, ball and chain at 21 years old, and think about it, you're going to be ball and chained down, attached to the hip with this person for the rest of your life. You got to think about these things when it comes down to these relationships, that, these things aren't going to last forever. And, you're going to want to have experiences as well. So, for myself, I've been in a ton of different relationships, and I can actually think back to some relationships I was in, in my mid-20s, early 30s. And honestly, I just shouldn't have been in those relationships anyways, because the way I was conducting myself was as if I was single anyways. And I was talking to my homeboy G about this yesterday, and we were laughing about it because, me and G both have kind of been in these long-term relationships, and I think G kind of was more so like playing the role of, like, he was a little bit more like on the up and up when it came down to relationships, a little bit more faithful or whatever. So for me, when we were talking about 2 girlfriends that we had that were actually friends with each other, we were with both of those girls for almost 5 years, and it's like, the way I was conducting myself, I was just doing a fool. I was pretty much single. I probably, I was acting a fool. I'll just leave it at that. And G was like, me and G had a good laugh about it. But at the end of the day, who knows? Maybe she was doing the same thing. And, at the end of the day, it's like, whatever. We were young and kind of just going through the motions. We had a lot of negativity, but at the end of the day, we kind of had a good connection as well. And I actually think about her a lot, because she was a really good girl and a really good person as well. So, but anyways, guys, that's pretty much it for this video. If you're a young man, even if you're not a young man, even if you're my age or older, never let a woman put that ball and chain on you. Never let a woman, keep you in that kennel. If you're a man, you got to roam the streets. You know what I mean? I remember when I was working, this is one last thing that's pretty funny, but I remember when I was working for United Airlines in San Francisco, and me and my homeboy Pumphrey, one of my good homeboys from Oakland, man, we used to be notorious up there. We was always, man, we was just like the players of the United Airlines customer service. We was always hollering at females up at work. And I remember this lady we worked with, she used to call us alley cats. She was like, y'all not house cats, y'all alley cats. Y'all just going around, roaming around, eating people's food, doing all types of shit. But anyways, that's the type of, I wouldn't necessarily say you need to be like as outlandish as we was back then, but at the same time, I do believe in experience in life and kind of roaming, figuring out where your way is and kind of finding your way through life, because, this is a journey. And you know, we're growing as we get older, as we age. We're learning, we're experiencing, we're getting wiser, we're getting more information. So anyways, guys, if you guys have any questions similar to this, you guys can hit my DM, or you guys can just leave them in the comment section, and then I'll try to get back and make a video about it. If you guys have any other video topics that you guys would like me to touch on, definitely leave that in the comment section. I'm gonna actually make a video probably right after this, kind of about relationships as well, and it's gonna be kind of pertaining towards like the fact that most women can't handle the truth when it comes down to dealing with men. And I'm actually gonna put that one on my Patreon video. So if you guys are interested in more content like this when it comes down to relationship, you know, intergender dynamics, like, you know, how to deal with women, or, you know, different things of that nature. Not necessarily saying that I'm the fountain of knowledge when it comes down to this subject, but I do have a fair amount of experience with dealing with women and just kind of living life in general. I've been all over the world, had plenty of different relationships, and, you know, anyways, I'll holler at you guys later. Hope everybody's having a great day out there. Peace.